Ken, Ann Arbor, its influence on you, your arrival here, talk about it.
This is where I decided to become a filmmaker, and I started making cheesy dramas and documentaries and things like that.
An educational environment is a hugely important one because it does give you the technical stuff. It exposes you to diversity of ideas that allows you to open up and respond, but then there is no substitute for real-world experience.
Are you willing to persevere? Are you willing to confront it and sustain an attack on it? If you have succeeded in completing a film, it's because you've overcome mountains of resistance.
Storytelling is the most difficult thing I know, and so the important thing is to communicate that to students. You know, my metaphor is maple syrup. It takes 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. I mean, in order to boil down 1 hour of film, we've got 40 other hours waiting in the wings to be potentially used, and that's a daunting task. In this vast, amorphous thing called life, which is filled with sort of random events, we all have to superimpose story over everything. It's the way we achieve our immortality. We tell stories to our children, we write books, we leave pictures. All of these are taking a frame and superimposing it over this chaotic universe. And it's one way to keep the wolf from the door.
As soon as Armstrong's agent Tommy Rockwell heard the news of Armstrong's arrest, he sent a thug named Johnny Collins to Los Angeles with orders to use his underworld connections to get his trumpet star out of jail.
If we can't tell stories, we can't actually be alive. Human nature always remains the same, so that by mining the past, we're telling stories that shouldn't be unfamiliar or at a distance, but something that seems poignantly familiar because it's us. They were us and we are them.
I saw a sight today that made me feel mighty bad. I saw a man shot for deserting.
We make the same mistakes they did. They learn the lessons that we could possibly learn. I can bring you in and say, I made a film a couple years ago about single-issue political campaigns that metastasized with horrible unintended consequences, about the demonization of recent immigrant groups to the United States, about smear campaigns during presidential elections, about a whole group of people who felt like they'd lost control of their country and wanted to take it back. You said, Ken, you're dealing with the left-right divide in the United States right now. And I said, no, these are only a couple of themes from a film I made on prohibition.
Prohibition would pit the countryside against the cities, natives against newcomers, Protestants against Catholics.
It's interesting, in the midst of this lack of civil discourse, all this partisanship, which is not unique in American history, there have been other times when that's happened, history's a table around which we can still agree to cohere.
Ken, would you give us a closing clap?
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
I understand.